Good morrow, folks. This is the special All Hallows Eve episode of The Caped Writer. As you can see, I am in my Superman outfit, as this is the Halloween episode. Halloween just around the corner, and I figured it'd be on brand for me to wear my Superman outfit, complete with the cape. This is The Caped Writer, so whatever. My name's William. Welcome to the show, or whatever this is. Hope you're doing well. Today we're going to talk about the importance of exercise. Oh, I know. I personally despise exercise in most of its forms. There are two types of exercise I enjoy, neither of which I'm able to do right now because I do not have a car. One of those is rock climbing. The nearest rock climbing facility is about 5 miles away, which I cannot get to on my bike. The other is fencing, which I'm also not able to do. The nearest fencing facility is about 3 or 4 miles away, I think, and I'm not sure they cater to adults. So I am out of luck on that front. So what do? I walk about 3 times a week, and then I try to hit the gym once a week. Why do I do it? Well, for health reasons. I don't like exercise. Exercise is supposed to give you energy. It makes me exhausted. Exercise is supposed to make you feel good. It makes me stressed. Exercise is supposed to give you all these benefits. I get some benefits. I don't enjoy it. I don't like it. I hate doing it. Don't want to do it. Never look forward to it. I don't have friends to go with. The people who do it, I don't particularly want to go and do it with them. I don't have any role models that I want to do it with. Not really. Sorry. And that's just the way it is. I will say this for exercise though. It helps me write. It does help me write. Socrates and Plato noted the importance of physical activity on the developing mind. I forget the exact quote, so let's look it up. Plato's Republic mentions the importance of physical activity. Let's look it up real quick. Oops. Hit enter a little too fast there. It'll teach me not to have it up right away. Physical exercise. Importance. Should have had this up right away for you, but I didn't. That's my problem. My fault. My problem. Anyway. Where's the quote? I can't find the quote. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, don't worry about it. Just trust me. It was a quote. It's a quote. It's in the Republic. Read it if you get a chance. It's a good book. Philosophers have gotten away from Plato in recent years. People critique Plato a lot. They're idiots. Plato rocks. Ancient philosophy is better than modern philosophy. Deal with it. Everyone wants to be fancy and say the atheist philosophers are better because atheism's all cool and hip and God is dead and blah, blah, blah. We killed him and let's all be postmodern, but no, it's just poppycock, balderdash, I think. Personally, I think relativism is bunk. Sorry, it just is. I think that some things are true always. I don't claim to know what those things are. Convenient. But there we are, I think that there is a right and there is a wrong, and that distinction is not difficult to make. Elliot S. Magen. Superman, Last Son of Krypton. It's a good book. Check it out if you get a chance. I don't know that it's still in print, but it is a good book. I don't know if Elliot S. Magen has made any convention appearances. Let's look that up real quick. I'll put his info in the doobly-doo down below. Elliot S. Magen. I don't know if he's still alive. He should be. Alive? Yeah, he's alive. He's alive. He's got a website, elliot.magen.com. If his website's still functional. He has an old website. Ooh, this thing looks like it was made in the 90s. My goodness. He has a podcast from 1992, which doesn't seem to exist anymore. February 2019. Oh, wow, 2018? It's an old podcast. My goodness. Sir, update your podcast. My goodness gracious. Anyway, I'll have to subscribe to this at some point. What is all this? I'm looking at his website now. This isn't important. Anyway, the importance of physical exercise. That's really all I had today. Exercise jumbles all the thoughts loose in my noggin when I can't think of anything to write. And I have writer's block, which does not exist, by the way. Exercise helps me think of something to write. I'm not saying it'll be good, but it'll be something. Okay? For example, just the other day I was exercising, and today, this morning, words flew out of me. I was able to come up with a good thing to write about. I was able to erase some bracketed stuff. Usually when I hit a point in the story where I can't figure out what happens next, I hit a bracket, skip it, move to the next thing, right? I've only got one bracket left, and it's for the rest of the book. Okay? I had 2 bracketed places. I exercised for 2 days. Those places are gone. All right? I have a 3rd bracket. That's for the rest of the book, baby. And I can get rid of that, right? That bracket's there only because the next part of text is the appendix. I don't have to have this bracket here, but if I didn't, then I'd put the rest of the book after the appendix. That wouldn't make sense. I know it's kind of arrogant or stupid, whatever you want to say, to have an appendix in your first/second book, but I don't know what else to call it. The appendices. I have an appendices in my fantasy novel. You got to have an appendix or glossary or something scholarly and, gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? Not obtuse. Not arrogant. It's that word that means you think haughty, arrogant. Anyway, my point is I'm that. I'm being that when I have an appendix in a book that no one's looking for or asking for. You know what I mean? It's not a sequel. It's not a prequel. This isn't an extended edition. This isn't a special edition. And I have an appendix. Who the heck am I to have an appendix? You know what? I may not include this appendix. I may not even include a map when this book goes out the first time. Unless people really want one. Okay? Because I mean, there'll be a map. There'll be a map because it's a fantasy novel. You got to have a map. Everyone expects there to be a map. But all this stuff with lore, no one's going to care. No one is going to care. No one's going to care unless they care about your story. You see what I mean? No one cares about the lore unless they care about the story. You have to have a good story first. They have to care about the characters first, which means you have to make interesting characters. How on earth do you make interesting characters? Well, they have to have things that they care about. They have to have things in common. They have to have differences. They have to get along. They have to not get along. They have to have different wants, different desires. There has to be conflict between them, all that good stuff. And that's a lot of work to come up with all that. Now, the good news is you can make up a lot of that on the fly. A lot of that can be trial and error. It takes a long time, though. You know, this book is technically still my first book. Really, it's my second novel because the plot's different enough for it to be the second novel. Really. The central MacGuffin has changed enough to where it is the second book. It is a second book. It's not, Hadian is no longer trying to free his sister's soul. Crimson is in the book again. Excuse me, I'm trying to not do the ums as much. Still some congestion though. That's no surprise there. I always have congestion, don't I? But anyway, There are a lot of differences in this draft versus the other draft. Aisha Khan is not in this draft at all. The lizard people are in this draft. The lizard people I came up with in 4th grade are in this draft. They haven't shown up at all in previous drafts. At all. I abandoned them as a concept, 15 years ago. At least 20 years ago. I thought, I'm not putting these in the book. No, they didn't fit. They never fit. But then I was talking with my friend Mike, and I told him, I was talking to him about his fantasy setting. My friend Mike Yao has a fantasy setting that he's developed into an amazing RPG system. You have to go check it out, called Savage Kingdoms. You can get it on RPG, drive-through-RPG, drive-through-RPG.net.com. Well, if you know me, then you probably know him. So just go to his website. drive-through-RPG.com. drive-through-RPG.com. Spelled just like it sounds, but through is spelled Thru. Excuse me. Pause for dramatic effect. Had some eggs this morning. Anyway, my point is, he has cat people in his world. He has, what are they called? Lizard people. No, he doesn't have lizard people. He has snake people. He has cat people. He has snake people. He does not have bug people or fish people. And I told him, you got to have cat people, you got to have fish people, got to have snake people, dog people, and bug people. Those are the rules. I don't make them up. And then I realized I don't have any of those people, like at all, in my fantasy setting. I was like, oh shoot, I'm not following my own rules. So I decided, okay, fine. Instead of goblins, I love bug people. I'll have to draw. Okay? I don't have goblins anymore. And that solved a big problem for me because goblins, by and large, are problematic because they carry a lot of anti-Semitic and anti-African stereotypes. Because if you're not dealing with goblins, you're dealing with orcs. And orcs are oftentimes coded as either African or, if you're World of Warcraft, indigenous. And that can be a good or bad thing because the orcs in World of Warcraft are not technically evil. When they're possessed by the Burning Legion, they're possessed. They're not really evil, they're just possessed. Horde's not evil, it's just possessed by demons, so it's like, they're just different. Basically, it just look different. So whatever, I played Horde before as World of Warcraft. I love playing as a Blood Elf Paladin. I love the Blood Elves in World of Warcraft. I'm just going to say it. I don't play World of Warcraft anymore because I refuse to pay for it. I don't like paying $15 a month for a game. It's like, why? Like, want to buy something once, then own it? I don't like subscription-based RPGs. I don't like it. It makes sense for an MMO. It does. I admit it does. I'm a cheapskate. I'll admit that. I'm on a rant right now. We're off topic. I admit it, but we're at 13, 14, 15 minutes, and I don't care. So we're going to keep talking about this, okay? The Blood Elves are cool because they're bad guys, but they kind of were forced into it. They have a magical addiction, okay? They're trying to be better. They're a part of the Horde because the Night Elves look down on them and will not accept them back into whatever elven society. That's what I understand about Warcraft lore. I'm not big on Warcraft lore. I don't really understand it all. It's kind of confusing to me. Whatever. But from what I understand, that's how the Blood Elves kind of work. They're former High Elves who are trying to redeem themselves, basically. And they're trying to overcome their inner darkness. And I like that. I like that idea. It's very much like the Eldari from 40K. They have this idea that, like, okay, a long time ago, our people did something bad. We're trying to be better. Like, as an American, I can identify with that. You know what I mean? Oh boy. Yeah. As a cis white American, I can identify with that. Trying to be better. We're trying to be better. Ancestors did a lot of messed up stuff. We're trying to be better. We're trying. Don't try very hard, but we're trying. Because we like being comfortable. We like our air conditioning. Oh, it's not funny. It's not. It's not funny, but we have to laugh because we are probably not going to make it to heaven. Not right away. But we do like red meat. We sure do. Yes, indeed. Anyway. So, what was I talking about? Drive-thru RPG. Savage Kingdoms. Check it out. Why did I bring that up? Why did I bring up Savage Kingdoms? I don't remember. RPGs. Savage Kingdoms. Something about dark elves, blood elves. Exercise gives me ideas for... I gotta follow my train of thought all the way back now, and I can't. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't know where we got off on this ride. And I've followed this train so far, I don't know where we got on. So I cannot take us back. I cannot take us back. When I rewatch this video, I'll have to take us back and then get us off again. And then we'll have to go to where we were originally meant to go. I don't even know what the name of this video is going to be now because we've gone off on so many different things. Probably just the importance of exercise, why exercise is important. That's probably what it's going to be. Exercise make brain better. Anyway, so yeah, exercise is important and organize your brain. Anyway, so yeah, what was I talking about? I'm at a point in the story where Terwin encountered me the Dark Elves. And the Dark Elves in my book are called Dark Elves, not because they're bad. They're not bad at all. They're the only elf that can touch dark metal. They can touch iron, basically. They can use steel. Other elves can't. Wood elves can't, high elves can't, wild elves can't, none of them can. Why? They're allergic. They get a rash. It makes them burn. It just hurts them, hurts their skin. It's a physical ailment. It's not spiritual at all, it's just physical. It's that old Fey myth about iron hurting fairies, you know. They were blessed by the moon goddess when, long ago, when the Dark Elves swore fealty to Aisha Khan, daughter of the moon. Although, excuse me, now that I've established that there's only really one God, technically, in my world, I don't know that Aisha is still the daughter of the moon in this setting. Figure that one out later. Because the moon is now not a god. Or goddess, rather, in this story. Vora is now the name of the unicorn in this story. Not the name of the moon. Not the name of the moon goddess, rather. So, maybe Aisha is still the daughter of the moon. I don't know. I call her Moon's daughter still. I don't know. Moon's daughter. No. Daughter. No. She's still immortal? No, she's dead. Aisha Khan is still dead. Yeah. Aisha Khan is responsible for the end of the Second Age. War of the Snakes. She prays to the Fang Death, and that's why we get the War of the Snakes. So anyway, like I was saying, the lore. Yes, no one cares about the lore unless your characters are interesting. How do you make your characters interesting? Give them wants and needs and all that good stuff. So I've been building my characters, trying to make them more interesting. I give them stuff to do. I make them do things. I make them get in trouble with each other. Callan sleeps with the Dark Elf because she's bored and he's there. And he's just like, okay. I don't know. He doesn't need a reason. He's just a soldier. He's just a soldier. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. He's young. He doesn't care. He does not care. He's like... And Terwin's not jealous. She's like, That's not the point. She's angry because she walked in on it and didn't want to see that. And Adela, the dark elf in question, is like, "Oh, Terwin, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize you two were together." And she's like, "No, that's not my issue." But no, no, I got rid of some blank spots, and all because I got my brain going, man. Got your brain going. When you get your brain going, you can do anything. You can do anything. So we're 20 minutes in. I think that's good. We've been rambling a lot. I did a little bit of exercise today. I walked up, mailed off some letters, exercised yesterday. This morning I got another bracketed section cleared out. I may move this appendix area somewhere else. Leave the map section here. That's what I'll do. That's what I'll do. I'll cut this. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move the appendix somewhere else. And I'm just going to make this somewhere else and make this its own thing. Because really, no one's going to want to read this. I mean, they might. If they ask for it, I'll give it to them. Or else I'll put it on my newsletter. But no one's going to be asked. No one's going to. I mean, they might want it, but... They might want it. They might want to know more lore stuff, but no one's going to care about your lore until you have like readers, you know? Your map, sure. They'll want your map. They'll want your map. I mean, why wouldn't they want your map? They want to know where stuff is. Fantasy readers expect the map. They do not expect to know the history of your world. They don't. They don't. A lot of them won't care. Unless you're an established property or you really hook them in the first few chapters. The way, I'm going to butcher this name, I don't care, Tamsin Muir, and I probably did butcher that, I don't, whatever. she can't find me, she's in New Zealand. So she has enough money, she could probably find me. The way Tamsin Muir captivated me in the first few chapters of, what's that book called again? Gideon the Ninth, which I started reading earlier in September. And I love it. It's so good, you guys. My only regret is I didn't start reading it in 2019 because I knew from the cover that I was going to love that book. I was like, oh my gosh, this book looks awesome. And it is. It's amazing. It's just amazing. It's a science fantasy. So there's sword fighting and lasers, which I appreciate. Actually, no, I think it's sword fighting and guns, which is fine. I prefer lasers to guns, just personal. A lot of critics don't like guns with their swords. I don't get why. Guns and swords coexisted on Earth for I don't know how many centuries. Like 500 years, at least. From the 11th to the 16th century, at least. We had guns and swords in the same time period. Granted, guns kind of sucked during that time period. But we had them. They were around during the same time period. We abandoned swords around the 20th century. We still have knives. We still use knives. We still have bayonets and whatnot. We still issue knives to soldiers. People still use machetes in battle. The swords are cool, man. I don't get why Hollywood executives are like, well, why do these people in this movie use swords if they have guns? It doesn't make sense. Because swords are awesome. That's why. That's why. Why do they use lasers when guns are better? Because lasers are cool. That's why. Guns are boring and guns are for bad guys. Didn't you grow up in the 80s? Guns are for bad guys. Lasers and swords are for good guys. That's how it works. That's how it's worked for 40 years of entertainment. Guns are for bad guys. Didn't you watch MacGyver? Guns are for bad guys. Period. That's why I don't like The Punisher. Guns are for bad guys. Sorry, Rambo. Guns are for bad guys. That's why The Terminator is not my favorite. Now, the first Terminator, yes, I like the first Terminator. Because there's lasers, right? There you go. Terminator 2, not so much. Not so much. Which movie had more guns? I rest my case. Thank you for playing along. I'll see you next time.